Hi again, welcome to another video, and I'm back working on the Volkswagen Polo MK2 Breadvan today. I've been doing some welding work on this off camera. I fixed round the back corner here. I welded some new pieces in there. I have done some work on the other side. I think I've shown most of that before in a previous video, but we will go over that again when we get back round to that side. But now the area I'm tackling is here. I ground it all back and you can see it's got lots of little holes in there, and that metal is thin there. Not too bad there. That is the edge of the new plate I've put in, but I have just been rooting around underneath, and underneath there, right up in there, it's rusty. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to take the bulk of this off to get that out of the way, and then I should be able to see the piece behind it up there, so I can fix that. I may fix it from this side. I can probably do that. I'm hoping I can do that because it's much easier to weld it from this side rather than get right up in there. I didn't think none of this was too bad, but it did have surface rust on, and when I started grinding it down, yeah, it's very, very thin. So I bought a new panel for this. I think it comes like that bit, then round there, and the end of the seal bit, and also this bit here is the main bit I need. But firstly, I'm gonna, like I mentioned, cut this piece off so I can look behind and see what I've got to fix inside first. We'll pull that bit off. It's rubbish. And now I can see in there what I've got to repair. So now if we look in here, you can see where it's rotten there. Above there, I think it's fine. And along there looks okay as well. So we can just piece a bit in there from this side. It'll be much easier, like I said, than going up from underneath. I have cut through there, which I shouldn't have done, and there as well. But what I'll do, I'll clean it up and then I'll weld that back in before I put the outer panel on. And also there's some spot welds around there, so I'll get them drilled out as well. So I showed you a little bit of cutting action. I started using a little Dremel because that made things much easier. But what I'm going to do now is just pull them rusty bits out. Or get out what I can. I've cut around the majority of it. And it is okay up there. It's okay there now. And I've cut that bit out. So all the rust in that inner part should be gone now. There might be a little bit there. Just see what I'm going to do about that when I've got this lot out. So you can see what I'm trying to do, just get rid of all the old. I'm going to get rid of that off camera now, and then we can clean up around the edge, and then we can think about getting a new plate in at the back and a new plate in there. And then that should be nice and solid when that's all welded in, and then I can think about putting the new panel on. But I have to address a few issues around that side, and I do have to cut some more off at the top still. So I'm making good progress. I've cut all the rot out. I've cut a bit out up to there. I've cut all that out, cleaned that edge up. That's okay. I thought that was going to be rustier than that, but it's okay. I just got to weld in where I cut through. I mentioned that earlier when I cut the outer bit off. I shouldn't have cut through there, but I'll just weld that back in. And then I've just got to clean around the edge there, so I can get the new plates in. So that's all good there. Everything's more or less cleaned up. Just got to spend a little while on it, just like I said, just them edges and that, and sort out what I'm going to do around there. And then what I'm going to do is cut the top off there. I wasn't going to cut that bit off because on the new panel down there, it's quite rippled there, how they bend it. But as this is new metal and that's going to be behind the bumper, I'm not worried. I might as well put the whole piece in there. So I'm going to cut that along there. And then I'm going to step that under there. So I might as well replace that whole sort of triangular bit. So that's the plan. So that's probably what I'll do first, actually. I think I'm going to cut that off. I'll show you me doing that, and we'll get that chunk cut off, and then is just clean up under there. So now that piece is off, we can look in there and it looks good in there. So my next job is to get that piece off. I'll use the Dremel just to get that off. I'll do that off camera. And then cleaning everything up and making sure everything's ready and clean to put the new plates in. So all that area is cleaned up now. It's clean along there. It's clean all down there. That is all good metal. I've got to just weld them bits in there where I mentioned I cut through, and there's one there as well, and there's a couple there. So I'll weld them in first before I start welding the plates in. But yeah, that's all ready to start welding the plates in. So that's going to be my job now. I'm going to make the plates and then I'll be back with you and we'll get them welded in. It's the next day now and I have put one plate in. I was going to show you me doing that, but it kept blowing through, and also there's a lot of underseal on this car and a lot of wax oil as well, and it keeps dripping down. So it was just quite difficult to film that because I had to keep my eye on it all the time in case it caught fire. So I've put that plate in and that's all good. I've got a little one there ready to put in now, and I'm going to try to show you me doing that. And I've got one to put in there, and I've had to take that piece of lip off there because it was very thin. The bottom part is all right, but the top part was very thin, so I'm going to put a new piece on there. So what I'll do now is set you up and we'll weld that little plate in there. So you've just seen me welding that piece. I've noticed there's a little hole there and there's a little area there I haven't quite welded in, but I'll do that when I do this piece, which I've just made and tacked in place, and I'll show you me going around there. You probably noticed when I was welding that it was dripping some wax oil out of there. It's just full of it, this car is. I'm surprised it ever rusted, how much wax oil it's got, but it did rust, and a lot of thick under seal there, as I mentioned earlier. But yep, that's in there okay. That is all tacked in, so I'm going to weld around that now. So since the welding you've just seen, I've done quite a bit. You can see the new panel is in place. It's not welded in or nothing yet. It's just held in with a clamp because I've got a seam seal underneath there. I'll take it off in a second and you can have a look at what it looks like under there before the seam sealer goes on. I'm very close there. I think I probably did, or nearly cut off too much, but I think that's just gonna push in there so I can weld around there. And that gap there, I'll just fill that in and cut the groove it's got to have there. Because I was working from the back with that piece I did before off camera. I wasn't really quite sure how I was going to go with it before I bought the new panel. So there's a bit of a bigger gap there, but yeah, filler will fill that in. It's all solid under there now, no rust, so that's good. You can see how it slipped under there, stepped under there. So yeah, I'll concentrate on getting that right when I've done the inside. It's almost right anyway. I'm not far off at all, as you've just seen when it was clamped on there. That's the new plate I put in there. That's the other new plate. We'll look under here now. And you can see that all looks neat and tidy. A little plate there as well, you saw me do earlier. I've put new lip in there, so that's okay. Kept blowing through a lot. I'd like to have shown you a lot more welding on this, but just kept blowing through all the time. It's so frustrating. But even the good metal is thin. You know, these cars were an economy car back in the day, and they probably weren't meant to be around in 35 years time. And yeah, that's how old the car is. So it's doing all right, and I've managed to weld it all in. If I get the seam sealer on now, it'll be dry for tomorrow, and then I can put some paint on it to protect it under there, and then I can get that outer panel on, which won't take too long, and I'll show you me welding that in place. It's a few days on now, and I'm going to weld the new panel, outer panel, on today. Where I left you last time, I was just about to put the seam sealer in. Well, that has dried since, and I have primered it as well with this stuff. U-Pole Weld 2, Weld Through Zinc Rich Primer. £25 a tin, that is. But yeah, I wanted to put it on so it's protected, and it will make my work, what I've done on it, last longer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fit the new panel in, and I'm just going to put few self-tappers along there, just hold that in place, and I'll do all of that off camera, and then I'll be back with you when I start to weld it in. So you've just seen me weld some of this. I've done a little bit off camera as well, but along the top there, I'm just spotting it so it doesn't get too hot, because I don't want that bit along there to warp. Down there was okay, because it was sort of solid. It wasn't going to warp down there. I've done that down there. They're not the prettiest welds. Doesn't weld that good, this vehicle, because of all the wax oil in it, like I mentioned before. But I have done one spot weld there. I'll drill a few more holes, and I'll show you me doing them. And I'll just fill in that along there. I've now took the screws out because it's held in nicely. I'm just going to carry on welding it. I'll do some of it off camera, and you'll see some of it. And then we'll have this bit of panel fitted to the car. So that's the panel fitted now. I spot welded it round there. You saw me do some of them, and I've ground them down off camera. Also down there, I ground the welds down that side. So that's all good. Along there, I've just finished. You may have seen when I was welding that it was dripping some of the wax oil, which made the welder spit, but it hasn't welded too bad along there. I'm going to grind that off now. I'll show you me doing that. So this panel is all fitted now. I've ground everything off. Everything's neat and tidy now. I'll just show you under here. It's all gone in there quite nicely. I did have to weld a little bit just round at the corner at the bottom, but that was only a small piece I had to do there. It was just under there, just where it joins at the bottom. But yeah, I think that's gone in there pretty nicely. So yeah, I'm gonna get some filler on it next time I'm up here and then shape it all round and make it all really nice, so then it can be painted. But for this video, it was just fitting the panel, and I've shown you how I fitted it. So yeah, I'm pleased with how that's gone in. So I'm gonna leave the video there. So thanks for watching. I'll be along with another video again soon. So bye for now.